Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When I was trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had so many questions. How do I record an episode? Where do I find background music? How do I get my show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the other places people like to listen? Where do I find advertisers? The answer to every one of those questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing, and monetizing your podcast. And best of all, it's 100% free and 100% ridiculously easy to use. Let me tell y'all. Everybody keeps asking me, what do I do to podcast? I'm telling you, the answer is Anchor. They created my RSS feed. They gave me my first 2 sponsors that you're now hearing on this podcast. I want you to know that I believe in Anchor. I've grown with this platform since February, and I'm going to continuously grow with this platform. So if you always wanted to start a podcast, go to anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Drops mic. Like, really drops mic. Because I think that it could also be our job as well to really show people what we do. And I think that it was, I guess it's kind of become this way because of the stigma of it being like this big secret, right? And so I don't think that sometimes that we can do a better job of really showcasing what our organization is really about. And we were just having this conversation as we were planning another event for high school, and we were saying, we don't want these Greek organizations to come and step, because we don't want, if this is somebody's first exposure to Greek life, what is their takeaway? And if it's just stepping, is that this is a representation that we're giving to someone who may not have the knowledge to know that they do other things. So I would definitely say, do your research and have something to give that you may not necessarily reap a benefit from. Like, truly think about giving back. Like, what can I give to this organization that is going to elevate this organization and allow this organization to give back to someone else? And most importantly, our direct community, our community of African American youth, and ways that it'll impact them. Like, what can I contribute? And beyond the stepping, because it's like we see that, like we hoorah, it's really great, but just really thinking beyond that, when the going gets tough and there's work to be done, like, do I have the time to commit to this? And is this exactly what I want to do? Because if you want to step, there's college step teams and dance teams to do all of that stuff on. But if you're going to spend your money to be a part of an organization, a service-oriented organization, really have something to bring to the table. Like, really think about what change can I make in this organization. And that's not to say that you won't have fun. Like, you have fun, enjoy your sisterhood or your brotherhood and, fellowship and glory with those. But really think about, what change can I make? Like, because like I was saying recently, it's like, if I'm in a place, I need to either be learning or giving. And if I'm not doing either of the two, then that's a place that I don't need to be in.
Say that again. If you in a place, you need to be learning or you need to be giving. Okay? And if you're not doing one of those two, you need to be moving. Okay? That's what you need to be doing.
Use that way.
So, Kristen, tell us about Unapologetic Incorporated.
Yay! So, Unapologetic Incorporated is a nonprofit organization. As I mentioned earlier, our primary focus is to help align passion with purpose, and meaning that whatever it is that you love to do, we want to give you the resources to make it fruitful. We want to give you the resources to pour that back out into the world. And most times our gifts is something that allows us to give back. It's not really something that we reap total benefit on. We enjoy doing it. We love doing it. We will do it whether we get paid or not. for some reason is that when we're doing that one thing, God supplies to us because he knows that this is what you were created for. And while somebody else may be better at you, nobody can do it the way that you do it. And so that's what we do with Unapologetic. We create events and experiences to allow people to see themselves through other people. We allow people to exchange the energy that motivates them, to continue to build upon themselves and continue to connect with women who are doing something similar like they're doing, or even for people who are doing something that we may not necessarily know about. We want to put that experience in front of everybody. We want to give everybody that exposure to see that this is something that can be done. Because when we think about our generation and the way that we were taught, we are maybe one of the first generations where it's a normal thing for everybody to go through the full education system. K through 12, go to college, get a job, boom. And what we have been taught is that you need to have a definite answer when somebody asks you, what do you want to do when you grow up? And those definite answers used to look like doctor, lawyer, teacher, you know. And if you said something that people may not have been familiar with at the time, like if you told your teacher in 1999 that you wanted to be a singer when you grew up, they were going to be like, oh, yeah, you know, that's cute. You're good at that. But what's going to pay the bills? Right? And that's discouraging because then you start to think that it's just a hobby. And sometimes that's not true. And to look at those kids who have support, who had people to say, you know, this baby wants to be a singer. They clearly have a gift. We want to connect them with something that grows them. We want to show them what other Black singers look like. We want to show them opportunities that have been created for singers, or we want to show them how to fight for opportunities for singers, for young singers, for youth activity programs that allow you to hone into that craft. That's the type of support that we want our kids to have. We don't want it to be where we have been so stifled into this system of only being able to do specific things, and if you're not familiar with it, then it doesn't pay the bills, or if it doesn't pay the bills in a way that you think it should pay the bills, that it's not fruitful enough for you and you should be focused on something else. That's the type of energy we don't need. And so we do that, and our three primary components are women's empowerment, civic engagement, and college readiness, with a primary focus on historically Black colleges and universities. So in that same token, we know that everyone won't go to college. Everyone's gift may not desire for them to go to college. It may be a trade school, but for our kids who are going to college, then we want to teach them about our HBCUs. We want to teach them about these schools that have been created by us, for us. These schools that have educated this nation's doctors and lawyers and teachers and engineers and entrepreneurs and businesswomen and corporate leaders and all of those different things. We want to teach them about that as well. So it's really just a place where, as long as we have the resources to connect you with something, this is home, right? And vice versa, that we want you to educate us on what we need to be doing better to educate our youth on what something looks like. And sometimes it's really just walking it like we talk it. Sometimes it's really just creating a platform to showcase someone who's doing something different, that's making it, and how they did it, and being able to tell their story in a light where everybody sees it. So when you come to an unapologetic event, you will see that every piece of it is intentional, from the catering down to the decorations on the table, the signage, the activities, the workshops, the speakers. Those people look like us. Those people look just like us, and it's a direct reflection of everything that you're able to do, and some.
Kristen, I keep saying I love it, but I really do. And the reason why is because you're saying that your nonprofit organization touches people that aren't in STEM. A lot of times we get brainwashed that if you don't do STEM, you can't be successful. But I'm just here to tell you that even if you didn't go to school for any STEM majors, like arts still matters, teachers still matters, like other people in other degrees in psychology and, you know, just the study of the mind and physical fitness. My goodness, have I seen them grow through social media this year. It's just like they took nothing and they made something, and not that what they were doing before. It's just like, okay, you're going to school for human performance, but now it's, I can create meal plans for you. I can encourage you. I can be in your phone when you wake up telling you to make your bed, and then working out and showing me the analytics behind some of your success. I mean, literally, I'm seeing people that their majors weren't seen as glorified, but now they're turning it, and everybody is using their gifts and talents. And you, Kristen, your organization is just like, hey, if you are unapologetic and if you are driven enough to come to my event, I'm going to make sure that your talent is linked to purpose. And that's what you're doing, that's what you're saying, and I love that. Because everybody has a gift and a talent. They do.
You have to
just need to hold on to it. You have to.
That's what
girl, we can start preaching in here.
Really, right. We want to encourage people that if this is what you love and this is what you're good at, like walk in that truth regardless of what you're saying. And that was a perfect example. People downplay those human performance majors. People really do. But for those human performance majors that go into that field, learn that knowledge, and turn it into what this industry is today, like there's personal trainers that make more money than us. Like really using their gifts to respond to a need. Like as obesity was rising, they're like, okay, I love this anyway. Like, I encourage my friends to work out. I'm good at this. I know about all of the different muscles and what we need to do and how we need to train our bodies. And they responded to that call. Like, that was a call that was put out into the universe that said, hey, we're fat. We know that you're here, or we're unhealthy, or we're unfit, or we're unmotivated, because sometimes it's just motivation. Like we talk about life coaches, fitness coaches, it's just a different form of motivation. And for the people who had the courage to say, this is something that I want to do for the rest of my life, and I have built the knowledge and skill set, because it's all about learning. Like as long as you keep learning, you continue to elevate yourself. For those people who've done that, look at the industry that they've created.
Yes. And again, even motivational speaking. Like, if you want to talk, somebody will pay you to talk. And if not, you start a YouTube channel. You can get on there and talk all day. Somebody going to listen.
Somebody needs to hear what you're saying. If it's from your heart and you have the right intentions, somebody needs to hear it. And whether it may not be the person that's next to you that's saying, oh my gosh, she talks too much, somebody needs to hear it. Like, don't focus your energy on that. Like, be unapologetic, be yourself, equip yourself for the next level, and give it back and watch what happens.
Yes. So, my next question, how do you define a nonprofit and the steps someone should take to start one the right way? Because I don't want people to leave this podcast, and of course, if you're still listening, thank you. I don't want people to leave this podcast saying, oh, I have a nonprofit, and they don't. They have a for-profit. Oh, I have a nonprofit, but no, they have a one-time business event that they should complete. Give our listeners what it means to truly start a nonprofit organization and what is a nonprofit.
Right. So I'm glad that we see some of the same things. And I am no way in any shape or form a nonprofit guru, but just from my experience of people reaching out to me and asking different steps and tips and advice, the first thing that I always ask people is, how long do you plan on doing this? Is this something that can be done in a one-time event? Because we don't want to discourage people who have a great idea, great resources to put out something, but they may want to do it just one time. Okay, do your event, have that event, whatever. But the number one thing that we need to know about nonprofits, because entrepreneurship is glorified, right? And so I guess nonprofit is a form of working for yourself if you actually get paid. For the listeners out there, this girl doesn't get paid for this. I do it because I love it, and I know that eventually I'm going to continue to create more successful people and connect people to those resources. And that's something that I love doing. So for starters, nonprofit organizations are what they say. You are not supposed to profit. Like, I'll say it that way. You are not supposed to profit. Your profit should be used to subsidize the things that you are creating that is aligned with your organization's mission. So, for an example, if you are a health organization, you sell T-shirts, you use the money from your T-shirts to pay teachers that may come out and teach at your health events. If you buy different things for giveaways for your health events, those type of things. You can't say, oh, okay, we're going to have this health event. Oh, I'm going to make T-shirts. I made $200 and I'm keeping for myself. And, you know, I'm going to use this branding and keep on getting revenue like that. You're trying to go to jail. So what people don't know is that it is a process that is regulated federally. So for some states, they do have a state formation process for nonprofit organizations, and similar for businesses. You go through that process if your state has that process. Then you'll go through your tax process, whether your organization can be tax exempt or you want it to be tax exempt. And the steps may vary depending on where you live. So know that. Do your research because it may vary state to state. But ultimately, you have to do the federal process for your 501c whatever classification. And I say whatever because we're used to 501c3, but depending on what your organization does, it may not necessarily be a 501c3. Fraternal organizations and social organizations, 501c7. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think political organizations, 501c4. So it differs. And ultimately, I tell people all the time is, baby, you have to do your research. All this information is out there. It's free. You have to do your research. And that's how I know when people are committed, because I definitely don't mind helping people at all. I absolutely love to help people, and I like to see when their vision comes to life. I like to give that type of support because it's something that I wish I had. I had a cousin. I told her I wanted to found a nonprofit organization. We were in 9th grade. She says, great. I know nothing about nonprofit organizations, but I know somebody who does. She took us to Barnes & Noble. She took me and all my friends to Barnes & Noble, pulled out a nonprofit organization for dummies book. And that's how we learned. Because at the time, Google wasn't really popping like that. Search engines wasn't really popping like that. So you really had to go in a book or, know someone and knew someone. And my cousin did the best that she could do with the resources that she knew were available. And I really appreciate her for that. So I want to be able to do that same thing with the resources that I know are available. So IRS.gov is going to become your best friend. And I always use IRS.gov because you're going straight to the source. Granted, there's other resources that either offer to do the process for you, and they do charge for it, or educate you on the process, but they get their information from IRS.gov, and so cut out the middleman, do your own research, go straight to IRS.gov. Now, if you balling and you have some extra money to pay somebody, then you can pay me. But, then you can do that. But for me, anything that's regulated federally, it's just like doing your taxes. You can pay a tax preparer, or you could do it yourself, but you have to be knowledgeable on what's happening, what you're doing, and know that there are steps and requirements to maintaining a nonprofit organization. So that goes back to what we were saying, is that if you want to do a one-time event, you have a great idea, have some great resources, just do it that way. I always tell people, while entrepreneurship is glorified in its current moment, it's not always glitz and glamour. It's more than a photo shoot. You have to do the work. You have to do your research. Sometimes it's going to be a lot of work, but you have to keep learning. And I always say keep learning, especially with things like this, because as laws change, as policy changes, these things change. So you have to be up to date. You're responsible for this for yourself. Like I said, the Fed's watching. I like my life. I'm not trying to go to jail. So I encourage people all the time, do your own research. If you have something that's extensive and you have the resources to do so, or if you know someone that can do this for you, I'd advise on getting a nonprofit attorney. I have someone that was able to volunteer their experience to me and guide me through the process, and having that person as a resource is great. But another thing that I tell people is that when you're reaching out to someone for help, especially those people that you aren't paying and that are doing this out of the kindness of their heart, do your research so you don't waste their time. Don't ask people questions that you can Google. If you need clarification, that's cool. But don't be lazy about something that you want to do. Show people that you want to do it. Be committed to your vision in a way that makes people want to help you. And when I say committed, that means your time as well as your money, because it does cost. It costs to create your nonprofit organization. It costs to create a business. There are different expenses that you have to pay to get it off the ground. And you need to be so invested in what you're doing and doing the work even without all of this, because you can still do your work while you're going through the process, doing your work to attract people to what you're doing, and people will want to help you. So don't waste people's time and don't waste your own time. But like I said, for those people who are committed to it and know that it's something that they want to do, you can tell by the way that they approach you when they need help. And even if you just honestly don't know where to look and you ask people for that information, they give it to you, just say, like, I appreciate it. If I have any more questions, I'll follow up with you. Don't just show up empty-handed. You got to bring something to the table. And that's the same for the same token. And when we talk about entrepreneurship and working for yourself, you can't be broke because it still costs. So if you need to get a job in the meantime, that whole I don't want to work for nobody else thing is cool until you broke and you begging somebody else to fund your dreams that you haven't even been able to start because you don't have no money. So you need to go work somewhere to get the money that you need to invest in your dreams. And that's why I have a 9-to-5, because I know that for what I want to do, it requires money. It doesn't require a lot, but it requires money and time. I spend my lunch breaks on my 9-to-5 working unapologetic. On my free time, on my way home from work, I'm in the car at 5 o'clock trying to get stuff done for Unapologetic, but it's because I'm so invested in this and that anybody that shows up to this table can tell. And I want them to be as invested in this as I am. And you have to show people that by the work that you put in and what you want to do. So that's the advice that I give to everybody. Anybody who knows me knows that when they hit me up on something like this, like, I don't want to waste my time. And I absolutely do want to help you, but I need you to show me that this is something that you really want to do.
Yes, Kristen. And I'm so glad you brought that point up. For everybody that's like, I don't want to work, well, I guess you're staying at your mom and dad's house still. You come out of college, you're not a complete expert on everything. It is okay to be in the process. What does the process look like? That you're in the transitionary area and you're allowing not only God to build you where you're at, but when it's time for you to flourish and to go start your business and to go and just completely rely on yourself, you'll be ready. But right after college, a lot of y'all got student debt. A lot of y'all are confused on who you are still. That's just a part of the process. So just because it's sexy, I don't want to work for nobody, just remember that we still have a while to go. Our kids probably will have the option of, do I want to work, or do I want to go to college, or I'll just join my family business? Because that's when we see a lot of our other nationalities or our other races, they're able to make that choice now. But see, this generation, we at least were able to go through the full cycle, get a job, or go to college, get a job, and now we have those choices we can make now. But our kids, I feel like that's what's coming. Our kids will have that option they can choose. Okay, college is for me? No. Okay, well, trade school? No. Okay, well, I'm going to just go ahead and finish starting what my parents started. So I think that we're creating that. While other generations and other races had that opportunity way before us, I feel like we're now in that era where we're going to have more options and choices. So just don't be afraid for that pruning season. And that whatever God has for you, He has for you. Ain't nobody going to be able to take it away. That simply means that if your business is supposed to be there, it ain't going nowhere. Right. It's okay. You don't have to. Exactly. Rome was not built in the day. And your business can't be sent off as fast as you post a picture on Instagram. So just relax, pump your brakes, Okay?
Right. Do the work.
So,
And I always tell people we're playing catch up on building that generational wealth that gives our kids the opportunity to have an option. And time's a wasting. Mama said it. Time's a wasting. And Matt, you have to maximize your time. So don't spend 3 years at your mom's house doing nothing just because you can. And that's no shade to anybody who lives with their parents, because if I could live with my parent here in Dallas and save some coins, that would be a great option. But it's like when you are given a resource, so your parents coming back to help you again after college, consider it a resource. All resources have limited time. Don't deplete it doing nothing. You know, really, really look at what it looks like. Like, if I work this job, I'm not paying no rent, I'm not paying no bills. That means all of the money that I make can go towards what I'm trying to do. Like, all of it. When you have the options to have external resources, use them wisely and be grateful for it, because people don't have to do it.
they don't. People don't have to do anything. So, that goes to my next point, which is, it's Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day to any woman. Yes, it's Women's Day. Now, my question to you, Kristen, how did you build a team of women that not only support you, but they support your businesses? They support who you are and the mission you're trying to accomplish. And the stigmas that, I'm just going to say it, Black women or women in general do not know how to support each other. We're hating on each other. We're talking about one another. How did you build that team? And we need that information to pass on, because one, if women, as smart as we are and as beautiful as we are and as ambitious and as driven as we are and as wonderful and wonder women that we are, if we put our heads together, oh my gosh, what could we create?
We can dominate.
So we could dominate. We could start for any top one business there is in America or in this country. We could put our heads together and create that ourselves. But I think it starts with that team. And Kristen, how were you able to develop that team?
Definitely starts with the team. I always tell people that you attract the energy that you put out. So like I was saying about what it looks like when you're working towards your dream, if you're half-assing it, then you're going to attract half-ass people. If you just glitz and glamour in it, you're going to attract glitz and glamour people. And for me, I really prayed for this team, and I'm grateful. I don't say it enough, and I try to tell them all the time and everything that we do, even when we're fussing, is that I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful for them being committed to my vision, because like I said, we don't get paid for this. We do it because we love it. And in everything that I do, I try to create opportunities for my team members to grow. And this really started off as kind of like a trial thing. They started off as my ambassadors to help out with the retreat. And from there, I think a mix of them kind of seeing how invested I was into it and seeing how I was pouring into it. And then also me seeing them utilize their gifts and me seeing them grow. I wanted to be able to use this as a walking example of what Unapologetic is about. So my team consists of women from all different backgrounds, right? Business, they're interested in business. They're interested in nonprofit. We have creatives that are interested in marketing. We have someone that is interested in being a museum curator. So we have the art, we have the music, we have the business, we have the creativity, we have the brains, and we have the philanthropy. And all of those are attributes and important attributes of Unapologetic. And so having them work on the first Unapologetic retreat with me, it was a joy. There was no stone left unturned for 24 Karat Magic. So if you came, I truly appreciate you for coming, and I truly hope that you enjoyed it. But what I do know is from our side and planning and everything that we wanted to see happen in our vision, it was all fulfilled. And it was done in a way that was almost effortless. And not to say that it was easy, because it was hard, but it just unfolded the way that we desired it to. And I definitely think that it was in response to the energy that we created amongst each other. And I loved it. I prayed for that sign. I prayed for that team, and then I invited them back to be a part of Unapologetic and what we're doing for the next year. And so what people I guess people do know is that out of the three components, we have a group of women that do the women's empowerment, and then I also have an amazing partner who helps me on the 2020 Starts Now. And like I said, these are people who have worked with me in different capacities from college on up, and they see my leadership style and they understand how I work, and I value people that appreciate me for who I am and appreciate me for how I work, because some days it's a limbo, but I like to say that for what may be looked at as a weakness is a strength, right? And so having a team of women who support it and who have found a way to really bring forth the vision of Unapologetic, I can't thank them enough. Even when Unapologetic grows and hopefully they're in their careers and they took from Unapologetic everything that it can give them, I always say that what is coming for you is coming from God, because there's no way that I can repay them for everything that they did. But it starts with the energy that you put out. It starts with what you put into the universe. Like, that's all that you can get is what you have to give. And so, like I said, I'm very serious when I work. I'm very committed. I'm very goal-oriented, and I'm a stickler about certain things. I have a vision, and I work until I see that happen. And I want people to be as committed to this as I am. Like I said, we don't get paid, and this is optional, but to know that there are people who say, like that, I want to give to Unapologetic what Unapologetic is designed to give to this entire world. And like I said, it starts from the energy that you put out, the energy that you attract, and naturally people will start to come to you. And you have to be discerning. You have to have a spirit of discernment, because you're going to come across people who want to be there for the hype, or want to be there for, the glory and all this stuff, but they don't want to work. And what people don't realize is that this is almost a full-time job, and it does require people who actually want to work, even on the days when it's not pretty, even on the days where we are like meeting for hours. And especially for us, like as a group of friends, they started off as my friends, and over time they have built a friendship with each other. So we do have time where we're having to separate our friendship time from our work time, and they enjoy it. Like when we have meetings here in Dallas, it's almost like a weekend thing, and we come down and we have fun with each other, and then we get to the work. And for us who have like full-time jobs, and some of them are still in school, our schedules are up and down. And so we're about to get ready to have a meeting in a couple of weeks, and it's actually going to be a meeting that's going to lead into the next morning, because there's no other time where we can fit in actually meeting all together. But we know that this is something that needs to be done, right? So we're sacrificing some time to be able to get it done, and that's the type of commitment that I want. But they would never know that I want that type of commitment if I didn't exhibit that type of commitment. And so when you build your team of women, do not focus your energy on that whole people don't support me, y'all don't support this, y'all don't support that, because you're going to attract that type of ranting energy. Like, you want to be focused on what you're doing and really just putting it out there so women can say, like, hey, sis, I see that you need a logo. I can help you with that. Or, hey, sis, I see that you have youth programs, and I have a youth group over here who needs your help. Like, you want to radiate. Like, I can't really express it enough, and I tell people all the time, like, walk it like you talk it. What you want, you have to give that, and then it shows up for you.
I had to take a pause. I had to breathe. Like, woosah, because you just gave my whole entire life. You just gave it to me right there.
It's hard, especially when we have our babies, and, it's our precious thing, and we work so hard to build, and you like, oh, I'm watching who I let in this space, but we can't do it all by ourselves. And I think that has been our biggest downfall, is us trying to operate as single units. But as you see today, as Black women across this entire nation, and not just Black women, but multiracial women and women of different race, creeds, and color are unifying, what that looks like. Like, it looks phenomenal, all of us together.
Yes. And y'all, we almost done. I mean, I told y'all she had wealth of knowledge. Y'all did not believe me. So, Kristen, this woman, y'all, she planned 24K. That was her very first conference that she planned, and she had a special guest, Miss Toya Wright. And I wanted to ask her, I'm asking you, what are the do's and don'ts of a conference? And not only that, how were you able to get Toya Wright to come to your first event? Because that's unapologetic. That's what we do. Okay, that's what you do.
Right. So, planning a conference, like I said, I got most of my experience in conference planning from Delta. And so we plan events all the time. And I think that, you know, we have like family parties and this, and family reunions and all this jazz. And having an event is really something I really wanted to do. Like, I was like, I want to bring this to life. So most of my experience came from Delta, and I learned a lot. And in the words of our past national president, in which everybody will be able to echo these words with me, the 3 things that you do when you're planning a conference is start on time, end on time, and stay in budget. And especially for a nonprofit organization, keeping your overhead costs as low as possible is key. And so starting out, not really having a lot of money, but really wanting to bring all this stuff to the table. Like, for those who don't know, 24K was a 3-day weekend. It encompassed a networking mixer, workshop, as well as yoga and brunch on the Beaumont Forum in South Dallas. Like, we really wanted to give people everything. And even then, it wasn't everything that we had, because this year we're going to come and give y'all some more of Dallas. But really telling yourself, like, number one, identify your purpose. Because with events, it can get carried away. Like, you want to have fun, you want to turn up, you want to do this, you want that person, that person, that person. Identify your purpose, and in everything that you do and everything that you add and everything that you create, make sure it's aligned with your purpose. Some stuff may have to be put on the side for the next event or for another occasion. Identify your purpose and really just start working and creating a budget that is feasible. And asking. A lot of what came out of 24 Karat Magic was really me networking with women across Dallas and not being afraid to ask. And so back to my regional director, I tell people this story all the time because it really works, especially for people who are in careers that involve them funding anything. She would tell us a story all the time about how poor she grew up, but not realizing that she was poor until she got to college. But she always shares this experience of this activity that they did, was like an annual activity. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was feeding families for Thanksgiving. I'm not exactly sure if Thanksgiving is a holiday, but it was an annual event where they raised money to feed other families. And she calls it the begging clothes because she said that they would dress up in their nicest clothes and they would go door to door and business to business to ask for donations to feed these other families. And so having her share that experience and not realizing that I didn't even have the resources that I had to even be going around asking people to help us do something for somebody else. And so, like, when she talked about her really nice outfit, she called it the begging clothes. And so I always use that theory of I have to put on my begging clothes. And not necessarily that I'm begging, but that I have to put myself in a position to ask for something on behalf of other people. And being okay with being told no, but being so committed to it that people understand that they want to support this because they want to support the vision that I have. They want to support whatever outreach activity that we may be trying to target. They want to be a part of it. And for some people, it may come in the form of time. It may come in the form of money. But you have to be okay with asking and being told no and not being upset about it because everybody can't do it. And even if they can, they don't have to do it. So a lot of asking and going from there with what you have. So if I ask 200 people, I'm at least trying to get 50 yeses. And that's good. Whether it's asking them for $100, asking them to sponsor something or whatever. The same thing for booking my speakers, also making sure that my speakers platform align with what I'm trying to put out because now they're like, oh, that's something I want to support. So a lot of people may know that last year Toya was doing a lot of events where they were women's empowerment events and she was going around and speaking at a lot of events. And we really liked the platform that Toya had created for herself as a woman, starting her own business and becoming an author and really, really focusing on her strength of becoming her own person. And Toya was one of the people where we was like, hey, we think that she would be a great fit for the message that we're trying to share with people. And so we reached out to Toya's management team and asked. It was simple as just asking, and that's how we were able to get Toya. And the same thing with all of our other speakers, because along with Toya, we also had some other phenomenal speakers at 24K. And the same thing as we're preparing for art and activism this year is as simple as asking people, but making sure that their vision aligns with what you're doing in a way that makes them want to be a part of it.
I'm down for it. And I'm praying for the success of the next conferences that you put on. I know that they are going to be great. And we got 1 or 2 more questions left, y'all. 2020, the voting process. Will Black women save America again? Tell us, what's the plan? What's the vision? How are we supposed to handle it, Kristen?
Absolutely. Once again, Black women will save America once again. Once again, because that's just what we do. But no, in all seriousness, like I said earlier, 2020 starts now as a part of our Civic Engagement arm. And so we are not a nonprofit organization that lobbies on behalf of candidates or political parties because we're 501c3. So that's something that doesn't fit in what we do. But what we do focus on is educating. So right now we're in the process of building a voter education curriculum that will take place of what used to be called Civic. And this is really just equipping people with the knowledge that they need to be able to participate in any election, in any civic activity, to be able to uphold their civic duty in a way that will make our ancestors proud, right? There are so many people who fought for this in a way where they had to know this knowledge. Like you show up to the poll and you're taking like this test and you're paying your poll tax. Like just imagine them not being able to know what they need to know in a way to fight for it and show people that we deserve this. This is our right, and we're going to keep on fighting for it. And so at this point right now, we're just fighting for that knowledge, and it's out there, but it's just so clouded by everything else that's going on in the political climate and the candidates and, the man up there in Washington cutting the fool. It's just clouded. And so what we're trying to do is just bring back that knowledge in a level where people are prepared. No matter the election, no matter the location, no matter the state, no matter the candidate, you have that knowledge that allows you to make a civically responsible decision. And that's what 2020 focuses on, and inspiring it to the 2020 election, are being inspired by the 2020 election, mainly because of the uproar that we're in right now, and being prepared, because what happened was we missed out on something more important than the presidential election. We missed out on electing the body of people that control the decisions that the president makes, or just having people that represent us in a way that regardless of what this president does, we have someone that understands our needs and our concerns and that's able to fight on our behalf. So when we talk about presidential elections, we're going to go into our local elections because local elections are important and they matter the most. These are the people that respond to our direct needs, what our communities look like, the potholes in our street, like things like that that directly affect our day-to-day needs. And not to say that the president is not important, but really just starting from the bottom on up. The people that affect you when you walk off the door, these are the elections that matter. So this is really just to fuel the fight leading up to 2020, that when we get to that presidential election, we're ready. And regardless of what decision is made, that we know that we have people on the front line to continue to fight that fight for us in Washington. So that's our focus and that's our goal, is to make sure that people are educated to respond civically, regardless of whether they've been aligned with a specific party or a specific person. You have that knowledge and you're just not out here blinded and upset. And in response to the presidential election, that people didn't understand the numbers. You know, they were like, he has more votes than this man. This is a scam. We've been bamboozled. It's rigged, but not understanding the process and not understanding how it works and not understanding how that systemic oppression was created. It upset people and it discouraged people. So we want to make sure that they're just prepared, you know, that they know what's up.
Thank you, Kristen. And I know as well as anybody else, even when you move, no matter where you go, on those days that you're supposed to vote, go vote. Because we don't want to hear your mouth when something like this happens again. Because it all took us by surprise. We still shocked. We still confused. We still don't understand. I know I'd be confused. Like, wow, this really happening. Like, Donald Trump, that's the president. But
right, we have a orange president. Right, it's real. It's not a game. It's real,
but I'm thankful. I'm thankful that he's president, because I think you were saying Dave Chappelle said it best. Because he's in office, we have now woke up. This nation is woke. They know that we can no longer act the same way, or else we're going to get the same results. Therefore, let's go out and vote, people. 2020.
Right.
Last and final question. Are you ready, Kristen? Are you ready?
I am ready. I think I'm ready.
What does walking by faith mean to you? I couldn't even say it. Let me do that again. What does walking by faith mean to you?
So, for me, I would definitely have to say that walking by faith means to me everything that Unapologetic embodies. Is that when I wake up and when I think about what my actions will look like for that day, and when I think about the way that I will treat people and respond to the needs of others, that it is an embodiment of what makes me feel good, that like what I'm pouring into myself, and I want to give that back, right? So being so faithful and making decisions just based off of my purpose and what I've been designed to give, knowing that God is going to fill my overflow. So when we talk about the law of attraction and the way that we attract certain things because of what we're putting out, and I can't stress this enough because I know I've said it about 10 times in this interview. When you put out that energy and when you respond to the signs that God gives you, or whoever your most high may be, that when you respond to the signs of the universe, that you are doing it in a way that makes you feel good, in a way that you're unapologetic, in a way that you don't neglect yourself, that you don't neglect the needs of your own self, and you also don't neglect the needs of others. But it flows. Like, it flows, and as you pour out, God pours in. As you pour out, God pours in, and God pours in, and God pours in, and gives you more flow. And walking by faith is like not second guessing the good that you need to do because you're too afraid of not being able to get something that you may need on the back end. God does not miss your needs. the way that I talked about moving here only with enough money to pay my bills for 2 months and not having a job, that was me responding to God calling me to do something, knowing that when I showed up and did my best, that he was going to provide for me in a way that he always has. And he did that. And he continues to do that. And walking by faith is just really saying that I trust you. That I trust you. I trust myself. I trust the energy that I've given myself and the decisions that this is going to allow me to make in a way that I'm going to touch the lives of others, in a way that people are going to touch my life. I trust that. I trust that feeling. And even Drake says it, like, in dire times when you need a sign, that's when they appear. Like, you got to trust it. Like, and as long as you walk by faith and knowing that I'm doing what I've been called to do. I'm walking in my purpose. I'm walking in my truth. That I'm covered. I'm covered. And even if it comes in something that doesn't look like what I desired, I know that it's going to cover me.
So we're going to say that she's unapologetically faithful. Okay?
Yes. My faith has made all of the difference. And all of the decisions that I've made, people have told me, you know, it always seems to work out for you. And that's because I know from my sources flow, and I trust it. I don't question it. And if it's meant to be, it'll be. And sometimes it'll be better.
So, you guys, you know, I always try to end the podcast with a Bible scripture and something just to reel you back in so that we understand why we're all here today. One is coming from 1 Peter 4:10 through 11. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. If anyone speaks, they should do so as one who speaks the very words of God. If anyone serves, they should do so with the strength of God provides, so that in the things God may be praised through Jesus Christ. To him be the glory and the power forever and ever. Amen. What this simply means is that you should be unapologetic, period.
Right.
You should understand. Yes, Peter is a beast. You should not only take the talents that you have, but you should ignite them with passion. And if you are in Dallas, Texas, you should meet Miss Kristen Wells-Lewis. I didn't want to mess that up. You need to meet her and find her, be a part of the unapologetic movement, and remember that your passions and your talents should align forever. And that is what magic comes. They don't say follow the money and then passion comes. No, they say follow passion and then the money. And we're not preaching to say come and get money, but we're just saying that you need to find out whatever you're good at. Don't compare yourself to nobody else. Utilize your talents and move forward. Okay?
Yes. Say that. And like you said, you can follow us at Unapologetic Inc. on Instagram and on Facebook. Our website is unapologeticinc.org, and we have 3 events coming up. One in Beaumont, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and I hope that I can see you there.
Yes. So, guys, we have touched it all. Voting, nonprofit organizations, the unapologetic movement, and Unapologetic Incorporated, what leadership is and how you should utilize it, Greek life, the do's and the don'ts, altering lifestyles with food. Guys, Kristen touched on it all. She blessed me. I know she blessed y'all. But I just want you to know that I thank you, the Walk by Faith family, for tuning in. And we hope to see you all next time.